Hi everybody, Rich Gibbons with SpeakInc, and I am here with our favorite animated Italian, Jay Acunzo. Jay, good to see you.
Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, so we are here at a trade event comprised of corporate event marketers. This is a very hard group to impress, and Jay spoke about 2 hours ago and killed it. We've been running into people in the lobby area, and people are just coming up to him talking about what a great job you did. So a tough group to impress, but you did it.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a great crowd.
Yeah, you look like you were really having fun. Jay was really engaged in the realm of decision making and how we can come to better decisions, but also you unpacked a lot around finding your differentiating, as an organization or a person, finding your differentiating, sort of your secret sauce.
Yeah, we're living through this dark side of the information age today, which I call advice overload, and we're all familiar with it. And whether it's coming from our companies and organizations, or it's out in the world being bombarded, thrown at us all the time through blog posts and podcasts and videos and everywhere, right? And we have all these systems and processes in the working world, but what we don't have a system or a process for is how to vet all of these ideas and possibilities in this world of endless possibilities to make sense for us. Because that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if what you're doing is a hot trend or a past precedent or a best practice. What matters is you find the best approach for you, your team, your organization, your customers. And we kind of ignore that context, that self and situational awareness, and we kind of like seek our answers out there.
Right, that was a huge takeaway from Jay's program, is that notion that a best practice is just sort of an average practice, but what's best for you might be completely different than what's best for me.
Yeah, I find it funny, like a best practice is just a possibility that's been previously vetted or maybe even just previously used, not even vetted to prove it as the best. But what if we started making better decisions faster when surrounded by all these supposed best practices? I think you get proactive in your work instead of constantly reacting to all that stuff that bombards you, and it happens more and more every day in this era.
Sure. So I think another one of the reasons why Jay's credibility was sort of your reputation preceded you a little bit. I think the job you did on the platform certainly made believers of those in the audience, but just give those out on the interwebs just a quick primer on your corporate background.
Yeah, so started working in digital media strategy at Google, and my job was to basically push executives and their teams into the digital age a little bit faster and be a teacher and a guide, and moved into the startup world where I saw firsthand, how all this information can affect people, because we were creating a lot of it. So I ran the content team at HubSpot, worked for a small startup before that no one's really heard of, but showed me a really different lens on innovation at ground floor level, and then worked in a venture capital firm as their vice president of brand before 3 years ago, working on my own as a speaker, an author, and actually kind of a weird niche, but one I love is I'll host and produce documentary series for brands. So I get to tell all these great stories all year long, which serves me really well when I customize a speech for the audience.
Right. So touching on, I could talk to Jay for an hour and a half and we wouldn't be done, but
I'm already hoarse.
Yeah. So one thing that Jay did, which everybody remarked on, was the fact that you took your core content that you were truly a subject matter expert in, the arc of your corporate experience and your background, you're clearly passionate about it, and you speak with a great deal of fluency around that, but the way in which you customize the content, everybody remarked on how you galvanize the points you made in your talk with, you're talking to corporate event marketers, you used event marketing as the galvanizing example.
Sure. I mean, so I have a little bit of a sneaky advantage. So if we want to get a little closer, just let them in on the secret. No, okay. I host shows in part for a living. Yeah. So I have this massive back catalog of stories and relationships of people doing things that aren't just the headlines you always see, and so they're not the examples you'd expect. So they either come from interesting niches that are outside your echo chamber as an attendee, but relevant to what you're doing, or they are from where you're working every day, but they have some different insight they can impart. It's not one you've heard of all the time. So that's kind of my sneaky advantage, is I have this giant backlog of stories, and more get filed away making shows all the time.
Right. Well, they were clearly at your fingertips, and the fact that you could just pull them out and leverage them in that context was really great. So one thing that when I was watching your sort of natural platform craft, you clearly really care about constructing. Jay is stand-up comedian funny. Everybody was talking about the natural humor, and of course, some of those it's not spontaneous, but your timing and your stage presence is really, really strong. And as I was watching it, I was thinking, oh man, I would love to pull Jay into this event, this conference, but just in terms of how broad-reaching would you say that message is? Thinking innovatively around marketing, around brand, around your differentiating value, how many different sort of lanes do you feel like you're applicable to?
Well, just looking backwards for a second, I've spoken to marketing, sales, HR, fire chiefs in Toronto. I mean, it really is a broad range of number of attendees and sectors and what they're focused on. But I'd say like one of the things that drives me is people tend to talk about trends and brands and corporations, all these like empty shells or theoretical ideas. Well, it turns out if you work with people and help people, you help all that stuff. Right? And so if you look at it from that lens, all of a sudden you are applicable in different niches.
Yeah.
Because we're all people. People do the work.
Right.
And so we should start there. That's the first principle of all of this, whether it's the newest technology we're thinking about, or it's something where we're stuck in the past and we're trying to catch up. It's always about people.
So if you're Homo sapien, it's applicable.
I think it's if you're a Homo sapien. No, I'd say there's really one type of Homo sapien that I am absolutely not a good fit for, which is if you do not care about your work.
Okay. Oh, that's a.
And don't want to.
Okay.
If you just want to leave work and you never care to do anything better than that, I'm not a good fit.
Right. Okay. Well, we don't want to work with them anyway.
That's right.
Well, I get to see a lot of speakers, and I'm a student of their craft. And if you're looking for somebody who's the real deal, this guy has got the chops. He's got the chops. All right. Cheers. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.